Hello and welcome to the Championship Talk podcast. I'm your host Paul O'Toole, and not joining with me today is my co-host Thomas Falco. He has still not got his voice back properly. So, I will be going through the news today, and on the main pod I will be reviewing all of the games from the weekend's fixtures and previewing the midweek games and the weekend's games to come. First place to start is the sad and tragic news that David Brooks has been diagnosed with cancer. The Bournemouth midfielder is 24 years old. He was away on international duty, and due to the symptoms he had, the Welsh medical staff have picked up and got him tested, and it turns out stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma. He's going to be starting treatment soon, and the prognosis is good. He took to Twitter I think that some of the comments certainly around the outlook look like they're going to be of a positive nature, but yeah, really sad news to think that a professional footballer, such high profile footballer, it kind of, you've put it out there. Sky have the prostate cancer awareness, there's a testicular cancer awareness, to make sure you get any lumps, anything like that, get it checked. And I think that this just goes to show that even someone as fit and healthy as a footballer can be struck down with this terrible disease. Shifting gears a little bit, and this is moving, still staying with Bournemouth. They've announced the free transfer of Robbie Brady. Robbie Brady was without a club last season after leaving Burnley. 29 years old. He's joined to the end of the season, but Bournemouth hold the option to extend his contract. Republic of Ireland international, so they're getting a really good player. As I say, a bit surprised that he left Burnley, actually, because I think that he was a useful player for them. He's definitely going to be a really good player for Bournemouth in helping them in their playoff push. And then other news, we're going to move to, other news, it seems to be Derby all the time, so let's talk about Derby. Former owner Andy Appleby has registered his interest in taking it over at Pride Park. So the way administration works is the administrators are appointed to sell the club as a going concern. The administrators are looking at a number of registered parties, and the way it works is you don't put a bid, you register your interest, and then the administrators there to look at who is in the best position to take the club forward as a running business. That's what they're appointed for. There are slight stumbling blocks. The most significant one is the meaningful discussions with HMRC, who are reportedly owed £28 million, which the HMRC basically get their money first. They get their money first, and any movement around sales needs to guarantee that the HMRC are going to be paid, and then all other creditors are satisfied, etc. So it's a complicated process. One that I'm sure Derby fans want completed quite quickly. There were reports that the EFL wanted the administrators to guarantee Derby could financially fulfil all of their fixtures towards the end of the season, and obviously that's quite a big financial commitment. So I think the January transfer window is going to be very interesting if Derby is still in administration. Obviously, we know, as reported last week, and it was reported in many news outlets, that the administrators have appealed against a 12-point deduction due to the mitigating factors of COVID on Derby's finances. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. I think you could argue that the FFP was there to protect clubs from financial mismanagement. However, there would be a good case to say that the COVID outbreak, lack of fans in the stadium, attributed more proportionally to Derby's financial plight than financial mismanagement. I think that case could be more than argued. So it'd be interesting to see how that's ruled, and we know it's going to be an independent body that rules on that as well. Again, should Derby have the 12 points deducted? I kind of want to go to you guys at Championship TA1. I'm on the fence. I think there still should be a punishment. Obviously, a fine is pointless. They got no money. I think a points deduction feels fair, but how fair does it feel compared to Wigan, who went into administration and got 12 points? Is it fair to have Derby have the same points deduction? I don't know. It's a really tough decision, and this is why it's probably going to go. Obviously going to go to an independent body. But I couldn't even tell you what I think the punishment should be. I do think there should be a punishment. I do think it should be substantial to stop and to give FFP teeth. But do I feel that Derby are in a worse position because of COVID, and has that exacerbated the situation? Probably they would have been here anyway, but in a year's time. Has it sped up that process? Would a sale have happened, etc.? There's a lot of if, buts and maybes, but one thing we know is COVID stopped fans going into a stadium, and that had a massive impact on finances, on clubs' finances. Derby aren't the only club. Every club was affected by it. Could you argue Derby's finances were not in the better position than other clubs leading into COVID? Yes. Could you prepare for COVID? No. So there are lots of to and fro, and I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. I'm going to pin Thomas down next week and get his opinion, because obviously being a Forest fan, it's not as unbiased as we'd like, but he always gives his honest opinion, and I think that'll be interesting to hear from someone who is a Forest fan on what he feels Derby's punishment should be, and I'm going to get him to commit to that, because I think that's going to be I think it will divide a lot of fans, especially fans of clubs that have had points deduction through administration. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they feel, how clubs that are run and have been able to sort of wade through the storm of the COVID pandemic, how they feel the punishment should be. Football fans tend to be tribal, so they probably want a 15-point deduction. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So that's it from me. As always, check out the main pod on any major podcast subscription service. I'll review all of the games and preview the games that are coming, because there's some really good fixtures coming up in the next 2 weeks. And I think that there's definitely some games to watch out for. I think there's going to be some high-scoring games when you look at some of the fixtures. So, that's goodbye from me. No goodbye from Thomas. And I shall speak to you all next week. Goodbye.